Follow the Path. The Bears Grove is adult-level discussion of role-playing as a storytelling art at samchuppmedia.com.
Hello and welcome to another Bears Grove podcast? Yeah, podcast, Sam. I am having a bit of a time this morning. I hope you're doing well. My name is Sam Chupp. I am a game designer and podcaster, if you can't tell. Probably having a little bit of a hard time for that right now, but that's okay. I come to you today to talk a little bit about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the idea that you're supposed to cater to your players. What does that mean? Well, I want your players to be absolutely happy with their characters. That's important to me. Now, there are some players who aren't happy if they get everything they want. And I'm not talking about those kind of players. They can be happy in their constraints, right? Like, that's what they want. They want those constraints. They don't want everything that they want to be given to them. They want to burn through and grind and earn it and have it come to them over time. And I get that. I really do. I think it's a fine thing. And that, to a certain extent, when you cater to your players, that is what you're doing. Okay? You let them be this, please, can I have another kind of player. You can put them in there and you can, make it hard on them, stick it to them, make it difficult, and make everything that they gain to be, about that kind of, gumption and sacrifice and whatever. There are also going to be players who just say, look, I've always wanted to play a paladin, but play a paladin of the love goddess, right? Like, I'd like to be a romantic paladin. And I'd like to have the power, instead of the power of detecting evil, I'd like the power to detect when people are unfaithful. Okay? People are not keeping their promises. And that way, it's more in line with my, concept of being a paladin of the love goddess. And these people already have a concept. Frequently, I find that concept comes direct to you from a movie or a book or a TV show, some kind of media. And I'm here to say, as a GM, I'm okay with that. Okay? I'm okay with that. I'm okay if you want to play Elric of Melnibone. I think I totally screwed that word up, but that's okay. Elric of Melnibone. That's how I learned to pronounce that from the book, Melnibone. So Elric, very cool, sort of broody character, an albino, weak without his powers, has a sword that drains souls, is doomed, so emo it's not even funny. That may be the beautiful character that you want to play. You have to all agree that that's what you're going to be doing. You can't have the please, sir, can I have another kind of person playing with the power gamer over here who's playing Elric. You can't do that. You all have to collaborate. You all have to get together. Yeah, stop, collaborate, and listen. Ugh. But you all have to get together, and you all have to decide what you're going to do, so there's no grumpiness towards each other. about this. Because I know that if I were playing with somebody who basically has, one of the Princes of Amber, and I'm like Mr. First Level Wizard with one spell and a dagger, I don't think that's going to be a good game, right? So we all have to agree to play similar worlds, similar kinds of power levels, similar goals for the game. But I want you as a GM to cater to your players, to be willing to go outside the lines, to put aside looking down your nose at them, to not make fun of them for wanting these things. Because what's happening really is, it's your inner child, right? It's your kid inside of yourself who's like, I really want to play this. Like, I've always wanted to be Legolas, or I've always wanted to be Merlin, or I've always wanted to do these cool things in the game. Okay? And people have gotten that beaten out of them a little bit, I feel, because of the concept of bounded accuracy in D&D 5th edition. You can't be very powerful until you get very powerful. And even then, I get the feeling that a 20th level character in D&D is not as kick-ass as, well, a 20th level character in D&D 3.5. D&D 5th edition, D&D 3.5 edition. You look at the two, they're not comparable. From a pure power point of view. But I don't know that for sure. I've never played to that level. I will totally admit it. I've just begun playing. I've only got a couple of years playing 5e under me. So, especially adjudicating 5e, I've not had the long-term concept with that. So I don't really know for sure. But it just seemed that way to me because of the reaction I get when one time I started a campaign with a group of strangers, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to give you a +1 sword, I'm going to give you a quiver of, renewable arrows, I'm going to give you, and they're like, no, you can't do that. We're first level, you can't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't do that? Like, I'm the GM, I should be able to do that. Right? But they're like, no, bounded accuracy says that you cannot do that. You have to wait to give us something. Like, it'll be a thing where we go to 10th level and you give us a +1 sword, as it's almost like Excalibur being pulled out of the stone. I'm like, okay. That's not as fun for me. I gotta admit, it's not as fun. But okay, that's how it is in this game, and I've got to adapt, I've got to adjust, but I still want to cater to my players, and I want to give them the character they love, they want, which probably means, to be honest, in this day and age, it probably means a lot of tieflings. I've noticed that people don't want to play a regular species anymore. They want to play, a half demon, half elf character, or a faun, or they want to play a sentient tree that moves around, or they want to play an elemental genasi kind of person, all these things. They want to play those characters first. And I have a theory why. Because of that whole bounded accuracy thing, they want to have something cool, some power that they wouldn't normally get. But, okay, so part of catering to your players in that scenario would be to give them those crazy species. Just to say, okay, fine, here you go. Here are these legacies of, the Earth Genasi that you want to play. Okay, you got it. You got it. That's yours. And if you struggle as a GM to figure out how all these people got together, that's going to be a collaboration with your players. You're going to stop and say, look, okay, we have all these people who don't normally hang out together. How do we explain that you're all like friends and you all go on adventures together? And that's fine. And as a side note, okay, this is kind of like a little mini advertisement in the middle of my podcast. I apologize, but there is a book I put out called Forward Mercenaries, which would give you a perfect reason why all these types of characters want to hang out together. And that is that they are mercenaries and it's their job to hang out together and to trust each other. And they likely may have even gone through the boot camp with them as a mercenary. So that would be even more reason why they would be willing to do that. So moving on from my little mini advertisement, you can get that book, by the way, on Drive-Thru RPG. That's where all my books are. Drive-Thru RPG. And I will put a link to that in the show notes. So, back to the topic at hand, and I don't have very much time left, but I want to talk about the fact that it's not a sin to cater to your players. It's not. Your players should be excited to play their character. And if they're not excited to play, then one of two things has happened. You haven't tried hard enough. Or you haven't it's on you that you haven't bent the rules a little bit, or you haven't opened your mind a little bit, or you haven't accepted them a little bit, so that you can't let them be that character, right? Or they aren't yet willing to put themselves out there enough to say, hey, this is what I really want. That's a moment of vulnerability, okay? And gamers, there's a lot of gamers out there who are already nervous enough to play, like they're nervous about playing, and they don't want to open themselves up and say, okay, really, I know this is silly, you're gonna laugh, I want to play Dritz Durden, okay? I want to play that character, that drow character with two swords, and I don't know him very well, so I'm just gonna say I want to play that. I want to play Robin Hood. I want to be the Iron Man of my fantasy world, okay? All those things are doable. And I encourage you to create an atmosphere at the table, a culture of acceptance at the table to allow this kind of catering, okay? Say, hey, folks, I know it may be wahoo and over the top, but what do you really want to play? Like, what character in fiction or in pop culture do you really, really want to play that you've never played before? Or do you have a character in mind? Like, do you have an original character you'd love to play, or maybe one that you played for a short time in somebody else's game that you want to play again? Be honest, be upfront, ask for what you want. Be willing to hear no, but instead of a sharp no, you should give a soft no. When I find myself having a problem with the request, what I will do is say, okay, what about Elric do you love the most? What is it? Is it that he's depressed? Or is it that he's fated? Like he's fated to die in a certain way? Is it that he's from a powerful culture that has powerful magic? Is it that he's a very sexy guy because he's got muscles and he's like He's both strong and weak at the same time. You know, what about all that is important to you about Elric? And maybe I can give you that. You know, maybe I can distill the essence of Elric down, that gloomy, fate-torn, emo essence, and make it a perfect character for you. So I can see right now that I'm over my time limit of 15 minutes. I appreciate your time today. I just want you to think about this, cater to your players, and do what you can to make it great. To go back in time and maybe capture the spark of the first game you played, or the time you decided to just make believe and not worry too much about the rules. You know, recapture that childhood energy for yourself. That's what I'm asking you to do today. Think about it. Get back to me. If you have any comments about this particular episode, please don't hesitate to respond in any of the 1,000 places that I've put this podcast. It literally is everywhere. And that's fine. And I've got a blog at samchupmedia.com, so you could go there too. In this day and age of Twitter going up in flames, I've put myself out there under Tumblr, I'm still on Twitter, and I'm still on Mastodon on dice.camp. Dice.camp is a lovely place to be. I'm still enjoying it, and every time I get somebody who's like, I tried Mastodon and it's just too complicated for me, I say, look, go to dice.camp and read the local, sign up, read the local stream, and you're going to see everything RPG, TTRPG, everything. And I am donating to dice.camp to keep it running because I care about that group. That's going to be a fun group to be, and I'm hoping that we'll see diversity and inclusion in that area. I really want diversity and inclusion for TTRPG spaces, especially in places like Mastodon. Okay, well, everybody have a wonderful rest of the day and sweet dreams when you finally get them. Bye-bye.